Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's MacklinGaming, and earlier this week, No Man's Sky got a 5.0 Worlds update. This is an 8-year-old game about outer space exploration, and people loved it because you could take off from a planet seamlessly into space in your ship and then land on another planet with zero loading screens, and it was just a massive simulation of a galaxy that's like procedurally generated. And so when the game first came out, it wasn't that great. It was very bare bones. But at this point, 8 years on, they stuck with it and people actually really like this game. So I actually played it when it launched, like way back 8 years ago on my PS4. And, just like everyone else, I was like, this is kind of boring. There's nothing really going on. There's no combat. It's just exploring these worlds with like a few aliens on them that are really just kind of like little dinosaur looking animals, and you just scan them and like mine up some rocks, and that's it. It's a game about base building and resource management, really. So when this 5.0 update got announced, I was like, all right, this kind of looks better. They made like a graphical overhaul on the game, so I was like, maybe I'll check this out. And last year I had played through Starfield, and I love Bethesda games. When I heard they were doing a space-related game, I thought that was going to be interesting. So I played Starfield. I played the whole game, beat the game over like 100 hours. And, I know that game's very controversial for a lot of people. They think it's garbage, but I enjoyed it. So when I found out about this No Man's Sky update, I was like, I'm going to try this out, and I'm going to see if this is comparable to Starfield. Is it better than Starfield? Is it worse? What do I think of it? So that's what this video today is going to be about. And if you've seen some of my videos before and you're not yet subscribed, hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you enjoy this content. And without further ado, let's get into the video. So let's start with the No Man's Sky 5.0 Worlds update. I got into the game fresh, downloaded it, downloaded the update, did a new game, started from the very beginning, and cool, man. So let's start with some positive things. I really like the visuals. They've updated the visuals, and there's like great color palette and very cool graphics. Like to each different planet, sometimes the sky will be like green instead of blue because like they simulate different atmosphere, like different gases and chemicals in the atmosphere will make the sky different, and like really cool, realistic space stuff like that. But it goes for a little bit more of like a cell shaded graphics approach. It's not a realistic graphics approach. It's a little bit like, I don't want to say cartoony, but it's just a little bit cell shaded compared to Starfield. So they drop you on this planet initially, and you've got this mining tool, and it's this little laser beam that shoots out, and you can shoot rocks or plants or even like the little creatures with it. And you end up like mining them and gathering the resources or the minerals that you get from them. And, that's the one weapon that you get. It's like barely a weapon because you can't really like shoot anything. I guess you can shoot the little dinosaurs, but it's really just like a crafting tool. So you got this crafting tool, and it can run out of energy. You need to mine things that have carbon, and then the carbon will replenish your mining beam. So then you can craft like fuel for your starship, because the starship, when you first get it, you can't take off. You need fuel. So it's like you got to go find a canister of fuel, and like in order to get the canister of fuel, you have to mine some minerals and some materials to create that fuel, which then will fuel the ship. So it's like, this is what No Man's Sky is about. This game is like at its core just resource management, base building. Like go collect a bunch of materials and then build things with them. And it's like, if you like those kind of games, if that's for you, then you might love this game. But for me, that's not really what I want in a game. Like when I saw this 5.0 Worlds update, I thought it would be a much more like immersive thing right off the bat. Or I just thought there would be a lot more opportunities to like either meet up with other people or like, get some weapons right away. Like, long story short, with the No Man's Sky update, I played 8 hours And all they made me do was like go around fetching minerals to craft things, like to build up my base and to build up my ship and to be able to like travel to different planets. You need to build a hyperdrive. Like I played 8 hours of the update and I never got a weapon. So I never even got like a knife or a gun. Like there's no combat in this game, like right off the bat for like a good portion of the beginning of the game. There's just like only resource and base building stuff. And to the hook of No Man's Sky, which is the seamless transitioning of flying off of a planet and going to another planet and landing on it with no loading screens. Like I did that plenty of times and it really didn't have a big effect on me. Like the controller didn't even vibrate when you're like going through the atmosphere. I don't think it's not memorable, you just kind of take off and it takes like 2 seconds and you're into space. So it's like not very dramatic. They didn't really like, make it a cinematic experience. You just kind of take off and you fly and you're into space and then you land on another planet. Like you can see yourself burning through the atmosphere of a new planet. Like around you, there's like fire, but other than that, it doesn't really have a huge impact on me. To where like everyone was ripping on Starfield for not having that. And I couldn't believe like people cared so much about that. Like, oh, you can't take off from a planet on Starfield and just fly into space. Yeah, but it doesn't do that much for me. Like what you do in Starfield is you sit in the ship and then you click a button, you hold the button, it says take off. And then there's like a nice like cinematic cutscene and you see your ship take off and like an NPC, you hear an NPC on your ship like say something funny. But like that was one of the biggest deal breakers for people. And for me, it just didn't matter that much. Like even playing No Man's Sky today, like it wasn't I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Seamless transitioning, that really wasn't huge for me. So overall, No Man's Sky, it was just tough for me to get into. Like, oh, I'm sure the 5.0 update gets better once you're like 40 hours into the game. But, I've heard the great Asmongold say, someone was ripping on him like, oh, you haven't played enough of this game to give it a good, verdict or opinion. But it's like he played the first like 2 hours and he's like, this game didn't hook me. It's like if the game doesn't hook you in the first initial like couple of hours of the game, then the game's failed in its job to, gather a good player base. So for me, I just couldn't get into the base building. That's not what I want in a game. I love combat in my games and I love, Starfield's gun combat. It's actually not bad. Like it's smooth and it doesn't totally like tank the frame rate when you're trying to shoot in a battle. It's like not bad at all. This made me, surprisingly, all of this made me want to go back and play Starfield again. So, I did. I went back and tried it out again. And after beating it, I'm on New Game Plus. And, I just really enjoy the combat and the gunplay. And yeah, there's some things about Starfield like, so I will agree there are a lot of loading screens in Starfield. Like, they could have made it a little bit more seamless from flying like from a planet into space. They could have like when you're facing the planet and if you just fly right into it, they could have just automatically initiated a landing cutscene, right? Instead of like you could just face a planet in Starfield and you're just like looking at it the whole time and just you'll never get close enough to it to land. You'll just stay there forever because there's like a force field around the planet. Like you have to click the menu and open up the map and then click land. Like instead, they should have just had an automatic, cutscene and then you land. So there's things Starfield could do to make it a little bit more seamless, but overall, like it doesn't make me want to put the game down. Like I still play Starfield even though I have to like, open up a map to select a planet to land on it. Like it's fine. I'll get over that. It's fine with me. But, I get it. You can call me a Bethesda fanboy. I definitely am. Oblivion and Skyrim are like life-changing games for me. So, when they put out a new game here in space, I wanted to check it out and support it. And overall, I give Starfield like an 8 out of 10 where, Oblivion's like a 9 and Skyrim's a 10 out of 10. So I'm not saying Starfield's just as good, but I'm not saying it's like a heaping pile of garbage either. You know what I mean? So overall, how do I compare the two? I would say No Man's Sky is like a seamless, beautiful open world of space, like open galaxy, where you're just going to be like crafting and mining for the first long chunk of hours of the game. Like, I'm sure you guys in the comments will be like, oh no, No Man's Sky actually has combat and stuff. Like, I know, but it took me like days of playing the game and I could not even get there. It's like I just had to, replenish minerals and replenish this material and replenish that and like try to keep up with my starship. And it's like I couldn't even get one single weapon. So, whereas in Starfield, you have that Bethesda DNA. You have the side quests and all the NPCs and the factions and like a big epic main quest. And you have all that in a space setting. So, Bethesda wasn't going for like an absolutely perfect, immersive, realistic space simulation. They're just making their Bethesda game like a Skyrim in space, except they definitely sacrificed the open world exploration for this more broken up planet exploration. But, that's what Todd was going for. And I think they nailed the, vision that they wanted to create with this game. But it's just not the open space game that everybody wanted it to be. So at the end of the day, I'm still taking Starfield here. This is my bread and butter. This is, one of my favorite studios of all time. And, you can do the base building in Starfield and you can do the combat and the cool side quests. Whereas in No Man's Sky, you can really only, like, at least for the big first chunk of the game, you can only do like base building and resource stuff and exploration. So what do you guys think about No Man's Sky 5.0 Worlds Update? Do you enjoy No Man's Sky more than Starfield? Am I just a fanboy? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.